Well, good morning and welcome to Talkin' Trash with Alan Keefe here on the Saturday morning WCNS Talk Block.
Good morning,
Good morning.
John.
Good morning to you. I got to tell you a story.
Okay.
You're going to love this story. I was out visiting a relative, and I'm going to their house, and as I pull in the driveway, their mailbox is right at the end of the driveway. And then they have a long, steep driveway, and next to the mailbox was this big old chunk of a television set. Circa, I don't know, 1990s or something, when they lasted a while.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there, and I went into the owner, and I said, a relative, and I said, they're not going to pick up that TV. Yeah, we just found out. And I wanted to say, well, you ought to get it down off the street.
Yeah,
But
really.
They're so darn heavy. So I don't know what they're going to do with it.
They
Well,
got to
what
done
do
that
they-
far.
what do
They're not
they-
going to get it back, right?
Yeah, what do they do with it then?
They're going to have to call someplace like Westmoreland Cleanways or wherever they have to live to find out where the drop off or where they can
There's
take them
still
to.
a lot of people don't
There
realize there's a law out there.
It-
They just can't dump those old TVs in a dump anymore, right?
Exactly. We probably get 5 or 6 calls a day still at our
Really?
office. Yeah, people don't know what to do with
Do
them.
they come to you and drop them off at your doorstep or something?
Sometimes I don't want to
Re-
say
oh,
that, but yeah,
wow,
I'll come in on Monday morning and there's stuff
don't
sitting.
worry. They're
Yeah,
more clever than that. They'll figure that out.
either that or they throw it over a hillside
Right,
somewhere.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Yeah, they actually had a waiver this year for the Great American Cleanup. It was one of our questions, those of us who do the roadside cleanups and dump cleanups in the spring, the state, Great American Cleanup. What are they going to do when they find all these electronics in the dump sites because they're banned from landfill disposal? They actually did a waiver for the Great American Cleanup, so any electronics that were found in illegal dump sites could be landfilled. But they had to do a special waiver. DP had to do a special waiver to allow that.
So what do we do with those TVs?
You still have to call somebody to find out where the nearest drop-off or collection program is in your community. We get, as I said, we're still getting calls every day. People who don't realize that there's the landfill ban and they're putting their TVs and their computers out for the trash, and the haulers just aren't taking them. So then they wonder why the hauler's not taking them, and they call us and say, hey, my garbage man didn't take my television. I said, no, they're not supposed to. So
Right.
then we have to tell them that
I feel like they don't know the law.
no, it's like
And
anything
it's
else.
messed up, isn't it?
It is. It's created a lot of problems. I don't think anybody had any idea the volume of material that was going to be taken. Just in our program, at Westmoreland Cleanways program out on Donahue Road in our collection events, I have the numbers from our spring collections through the end of April. We've collected over 72,000 pounds. Just our program.
Wow.
72,000 pounds in 4
old
months.
TVs.
Of old TVs, computers.
Computer monitors.
Yep, printers.
Computer boxes and printers.
Yep,
All of that
yeah,
stuff.
and all electronics. That's all of the computers and stereos and printers.
Well,
and
when you collect them now, what happens to that stuff?
they are all sent. The company we use is JVS Electronics out of Somerset. They pack up the TVs and they actually go to a recycler in Philadelphia. This company in Philadelphia is the largest in the state, and a lot of the recyclers that do collections like ours ship their televisions to Philadelphia. And this company's overwhelmed. All of the electronics recyclers, all of the processors, they're all overwhelmed at this point by.
Well, do they break them up?
They
and then
break 'em up.
to get the good parts like out of them?
Yeah,
or-
everything is recycled and reclaimed in some way. And I had no idea till I started dealing with this issue myself. There are 3 or 4 different types of plastic in these TVs and different computer components, and all of the plastics are literally separated by what type they are, and they're able to be reprocessed and recycled.
Well, when Sony was making TVs down there in New Stanton, I mean, they built a glass plant right next door.
Right, American
for the-
Video Glass.
Yeah,
Yep.
to put
Yep.
the
Yep.
because they had big chunks of glass in those TV. I mean, that was the screen.
Yep.
You know.
And the glass is the hardest part to get rid of. The
Really?
tubes in these TVs and the monitors is actually the hardest part. They can recycle the plastic, they can recycle the metals that they're taking, but it's the glass that's really proving hard to do anything with because it's lead lined. And that's why they're so heavy.
Yeah.
They're full of lead. I'm told there's like 30 to 40, 50 pounds of lead in a tube. And that's what's causing the problems because there's no easy way to separate the lead from the glass.
Oh.
So there are some companies that are working on proprietary formulas or processes to try to separate the lead from the glass, so at least they can use the glass and, of course, then reuse the lead. But that's the problem with it. I went to one seminar a year or so ago, and they were estimating about 700 million televisions that will need to be dealt with in the next 10 years. That's a heck of a lot of TVs.
Wow.
700 million
Yeah,
TVs.
because, but those old TVs lasted a long
They
time.
did. They're actually lasting a lot longer than the flat screens that we're dealing with now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That you only get so much life out of these things.
Yep.
And you're paying a lot of money for them.
Yep.
You're paying a lot of money
Yep.
for them. But that's society.
That's
where
the
we
way it
are,
goes.
and
Yeah. So we're
so-
dealing with that. We're dealing with the issue with the electronics recycling. That's taking up a lot of time right now. And we want to work with these guys. All these companies. We use JVS. There's a company called Commonwealth Computer Recycling in Greensburg. Good people. They're actually going to be doing our October collection for us at community college, and they're all dealing with the same issues. They're all overwhelmed. The system just is really not working the way the DEP intended it to work when the law was passed.
So these people pick up all this stuff.
Yep.
And they ship it to Philadelphia, and there's a recycler there that's breaking this stuff down.
Right.
And then I guess sell off the whatever they get off of it.
Right. Yeah. The plastic then becomes a commodity, and the TVs for the most part are sent to Philadelphia. There's a lot of the materials, the computer cases and the towers and some of the smaller stuff that's actually being dealt with locally by these companies, that they have their warehouses and their recycling centers, that they're actually working, tearing the stuff apart and shipping it themselves. But it's a big issue.
I know you have some stuff going on. In fact, you have some stuff at Twin Lakes.
Yes, we do
What are you gonna be doing?
we do the recycling every year at the Arts Festival. We've been doing it for a number of years now, and I guess this is almost the last day. Tomorrow is probably the last day of the Arts Festival out at Twin Lakes. But we provide the recycling containers, the Clearstream
Right.
bin, so people are walking around with their bottles, their plastic bottles, drink bottles, that they have someplace to recycle. We've been doing that for a number of years with the Arts Festival people in the county parks. So that's going on this weekend. That's always real big for us, and we're real happy to work with them. We also have our ongoing electronics. We're still taking the electronics at our office. As I said, through April, I know this is July already, but the guys have been so busy they haven't been able to give me any numbers for the last couple of months. But through April, we've collected over 30,000 pounds of electronics right in our office. And we're still doing our shoe collection. We started that last fall. People who have shoes that are still good and reusable, but for whatever reason that they don't need them, kids have outgrown them or the styles have changed. We're collecting shoes, and we've collected over a ton of shoes in a few months.
Well, I could say something real smart, but my wife would probably punch me in the nose.
There's still a ton of shoes in somebody's closet. Is that what you're
I have
saying,
never.
John?
My wife, my daughter, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shoes all over the place.
Yeah, but that's
And me, I have 3 pair. It's the same style.
Yeah.
One's black, one's red, one's brown. And a couple of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, but that's fun. That's
Yeah.
really funny. A ton of shoes, literally a ton of shoes that we've
boy.
collected. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we do a lot of the other stuff that you can't get rid of anywhere else. We take the CFL light bulbs and household batteries. Nobody takes household batteries. There's a lot of places you can
Household battery.
household batteries. A lot of places you can get rid of the rechargeable batteries, Radio Shack, and a lot of the tool places that the tools that have the rechargeable batteries will take the rechargeable batteries back. But the alkaline single-use batteries, we take them in our office and throw out a thank you to Interstate Battery for recycling those for us.
How about this time of the year too with narcotics? Like
Yes.
prescription drugs
Yep.
that they don't want you to take anymore, or
Yep.
they're replacing it with something else. And,
Yep.
you've had pickups for that in
We've
cooperation with a lot of police departments.
Right, the police departments and the Drug Enforcement Administration. Now, unfortunately for that, that is twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. So there won't be another pickup for that until it's typically been the last weekend in September. So we have a couple of months to.
So you store them in a plastic bag or something in the
Yep.
house until they say
until
come and bring it here?
Exactly, yeah. No, we cannot take that kind of stuff in our office. You have to
Right,
keep that
right.
yourself and then bring it to
Yeah,
a collection.
because it's,
Yep,
you don't
yep.
want it on the street.
Right, right.
Well, and you also have an event. I know we're a little bit early, but in August.
We do. We're having a special collection. We were invited down to the Westinghouse Waltz Mill plant down in Madison, right down there off of Route 70. And I did an Earth Day program for the employees back in April, and also participated. They have a health and wellness event for their employees. Did a couple of weeks ago, and they invited me to do a hard to recycle event like we do in the community, like we did in community college in Delmont and North Huntington. They asked us if we would do one of those programs for their employees. They have 1,000 employees down at Waltz Mill, which I didn't realize they had that many. So we're going to do a hard to recycle collection for the Westinghouse employees on August 16th. But they've also I guess thanks for doing the program for their employees, they're letting us use their site for a public collection on the following day on the 17th, which is a Saturday morning. So we don't often get down close to the southern part of the county, and that would be convenient for the South Huntington and East Huntington and Ross Draver, Monessen, those communities down in the southern part of the county can just shoot right up 70, and we'll be at the Westinghouse Waltz Mill plant. And again, that's for the electronics. We'll also be collecting tires and scrap metal and Freon appliances like we do at our regular collections.
That's Ellen Keefe, and Ellen and I are talking a little trash here on the Saturday morning talk block. I always enjoy doing this because every show I learn something, and you think you know it, and then something will pop up. And I never gave much of a thought to this, but you have a program for children this time of the year. They're not in school. They want to,
right?
Mom and Dad want to do something, maybe contribute to the community or something.
Right, exactly.
And to the rescue.
We talk a lot about what we do for the adults and for the environment, but we also have a wonderful program director, Natalie Reese. She's been my right-hand man, excuse the pun there, for about a year and a half now. She's been with us, and she has done wonders for our educational program. She is a teacher, which I think bringing her teaching background to the program really helped a lot. And typically we were really busy in schools during the school year, and specifically around Earth Month, with schools wanting to bring in and doing something special for Earth Month. But Natalie has done such a great job for our youth program, youth education program all around, that she's gotten a lot of calls from other groups. So she's working with the libraries and has a number of programs going on in the libraries this summer. You can call Natalie specifically for where she's going to be, but to give you an idea, she's going to be, here's the list so far: Monessen Library, Scottdale Library, Sewickley Library, Vandergrift Library, Greensburg Library, Youngwood Library, and the Mount Pleasant Library. Those are all in July, just in July, that she has programs planned for the kids at all of these libraries. I don't know what the times are or anything, so you can call our office at 836-4129.
Would you have it on your
we would not
webcast?
put that on our website, no.
You would not?
No.
Okay.
We may between now and then.
Yeah.
So, but right now it is not on our website.
Okay.
So for the best information, if you want to know if there are any kids programs.
Yeah, well, if you use a like Latrobe Library, you just call Memorial,
Right,
call
yeah,
them
or
down
yeah,
there.
exactly.
You're
Or
doing
call
the recycling thing.
Yep,
bring the
yep.
kids down.
And I think one of the reasons that Natalie's program's real popular this summer, every year the Library Federation, I think they kind of all work together. All of the libraries are part of this network, and they develop a theme every summer for what their reading programs are going to be. And this year, the theme for the library reading programs is dig into reading. So it worked really well for what we do with our composting. And I know you've laughed about this, but we have a worm composting program. And we have our pet worms that we keep in the office, and we feed them and take care of them. And Natalie has this educational program where she takes our worms to schools, and this summer it's going to be to all these libraries, so kids can learn about composting and composting with worms. They get to play with the worms, and it's just a really, really neat program. So I don't give Natalie enough credit during these shows. Normally we're busy talking about grown-up stuff, but Natalie just does such a great job with our kids.
That's nice.
Yeah, I wanted to put a plug in for her.
And I think it's good to educate them, too.
Absolutely.
And they can educate their parents.
Well, yeah, Westmoreland Cleanways has been around for 20 years. And our education program has always been a very important part of what we do. The reason being, as you said, you educate the kids, and a lot of us grew up with a different mentality about how to get rid of garbage. You buy it, you use it, and you throw it away.
Right.
And even then, the next generation, everything was disposable. And the older generation, the war generation, the greatest generation, they knew how to recycle. They composted everything. They grew their own vegetables. Sure. They recycled all of their scrap metal. It's actually the older generation who buys into a lot of what we do with the need for recycling. But then it was the next generation, which is probably mine, that got so used to throwing everything away, and it was almost a status symbol that we could buy stuff and throw it away. So recycling has, everything old is new again, and so when recycling started to get popular 20 years ago, and Westmoreland Cleanways got on that bandwagon again and started promoting recycling, it was this whole new thought process that people had to get used to. And so, and of course, the idea is you educate the children, and they're going to grow up having more awareness of proper disposal and how to take care of our environment, how to take care of how to get rid of stuff in the most environmental way. That whole way of thinking has changed and is changing. So we're trying to do our part to educate the kids growing up not to litter, to recycle, to take care of to manage our waste properly, to just not use stuff that has to be thrown away. So.
Well, a lot of stuff that you buy is just, you use it, and then you put it in a garbage bag. You think, and now you double checking it. Now we got a bag for newspapers and a bag for this. And, but you're putting it in a bag.
But the bag can be recycled. That's okay too.
We need to thank the Solandro family because they make this show possible.
They do.
They're very nice people.
They do.
And
I call them up and they laugh. What do you want now, Ellen? They do everything. Yeah. So we had some stuff dropped off at our office, and a lot of times there was these propane tanks. We take the old propane tanks, and they get beyond their life, and people don't know what to do with them.
Oh yeah.
And Solandro's takes them for us. They are at our collections taking the scrap metal, and we take the propane tanks. So we got a phone call from a guy that called and asked if we took propane tanks, and we said yes. Well, I usually get one at a time. I put it in my car and drop it off at Solandro's on my way home. I look out in the parking lot, and there's 70 of them sitting out
70?
there. 70 sitting out in our parking lot. I said, oh, no, that's going to take me a long time in the trunk of my Accord getting them all out to Solandro's. So they sent a truck over and picked them all up. Looked out the next day, there's 30 more sitting out there. So, but it's just, I cannot I just can't thank Solandros enough
Now, I
for what
wonder
they do.
now, what would they do with them? I mean, obviously, you hope all the propane's out of them.
Well, actually, they're licensed to remove the propane.
Oh, okay.
So, which is what the problem is with getting rid of propane tanks, and same with Freon
You just
appliances.
don't open them up and let the air out.
No,
Let the gas out.
no, you don't want to do that. So Solandros has the
And
equipment.
it is combustible, so
Absolutely, it's not
Don't wanna
a
get
real
hurried.
safe thing to have around if you don't need it anymore, but you need to get rid of it. So Solandros has the equipment and the training to extract any propane that might be left in the tanks, and then the tanks are scrapped out for the scrap metal. So that's why they handle the propane tanks for us, and they handle the Freon appliances because they have the equipment to remove the Freon from the refrigerators and air conditioners and that kind of stuff.
your organization, the Westmoreland Cleanways, I think I know how you operate, but how's it set up? What should the people know about Westmoreland Cleanways?
We're actually a nonprofit. A lot of other counties and communities have recycling offices that are actually part of the government. Westmoreland Cleanways is a nonprofit organization. We do work on behalf of Westmoreland County. There is no government office in Westmoreland County to oversee the recycling. So we work with Westmoreland County. We receive funding from Westmoreland County to do what we do. A lot of other programs that we run are required by the DEP, Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. So we do receive funding for some of our programs through the DEP. But for the most part, we are a nonprofit organization. We have members who pay a membership donation every year, and we get thousands of dollars from donations and memberships. We get foundation money. We get special project funding for a lot of the things that we do. So fortunately, we are stable financially, which is not easy for a nonprofit to say in this day and age. But I think people see the value of what we do. And of course, we're very conscientious with our funding, very aware of where our funding is coming from, who our funding is coming from. And of course, we do what we do because we really care about our community. I really like the saying, and it seems to have come up a lot lately, but take your job seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. Mm-hmm. And I think we really do take our job seriously. As a nonprofit, we are governed by a volunteer board of directors. We have 10 people on our board. We meet quarterly, and they oversee what we do, and kind of like any board, they guide the policy making and oversee the finances, make sure I have all my I's dotted and T's crossed and dollar signs in the right place,
Well, I found it's always, even in in a business, hopefully for profit.
Yeah.
I count on our accountant.
Yes.
To look over my shoulder, and I'll ask him questions. Are we doing this right? Are we doing that? 'Cause
Yeah.
You're so busy running the business that you don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
So you want to limit any mistakes that could happen.
Right.
But we were talking about you doing the pickup at Twin Lakes this weekend. But in Westmoreland County now, they have acres and acres of these parks.
Yes.
And they have these refuse collections all through the parks. Now,
Yeah.
how do they get rid of that stuff?
The recycling at the county parks, I don't think there's a whole lot, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. People who rent the pavilions and use the parks, I think for the most part need to be, or should be, recycle the material themselves that they bring in. They bring their cases of pop and their
Right.
their whether it's plastic bottles or aluminum cans. And right now, there's not a lot of recycling opportunities in the county parks. So we definitely recommend that if you bring in recyclables with your beverage containers or whatever, that you're able to take it back home with you.
Well, would they have maybe a commercial outfit to come in and pick up that trash?
Right now, they do not. I'm not real sure why. We've talked to them about it, but it may be a function that right now it's a cost issue. They would have to contract with the hauler that picks up the trash in the park to provide special recycling containers for the park. And to be honest with you, again, Westmoreland Cleanways being two people, we may see some gaps where we could promote recycling in other areas, but right now we haven't quite hit the parks on a regular basis. On the other hand, Keystone Park out in Derry Township, which attracts hundreds of thousands of people a year, they do have a park recycling program. We actually helped them get started. We got some grant money for them several years ago that they were able to purchase park recycling containers so that people who utilize the park can drop their bottles and their cans in the park recycling. And that was through the state, the DCNR, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. So we work where we can. We know that there's some gaps in other areas, and we hope that individuals are responsible enough that if they want to recycle and they look around and see that there's not a recycling bin around, that they're able to take the stuff home with them.
Well, this half hour just flies
Are
by.
we done already?
It's interesting, and I hope the audience picks up on some stuff. I know they do, because I do get phone calls and feedback and everything, so that's good. But we need to wrap up right now, and I could not not stop this show, finish this show without your pet peeve, and you can just throw it at me.
There
Go
you
ahead.
go. Well,
ahead.
Our loyal listeners
may
recall 2 Christmases ago when the advent of our this single serve coffee makers, not mentioning any brand names, but the kind that you put the little one-shot pod in the coffee maker.
I mean, they're
they are, but they're all the same, whether it's Keurig or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll mention them. I remember saying to you, it was our Christmas show, and I remember saying to you how terrible I thought these things were because they're not recyclable. And these little plastic cups, and so there's millions of these things being sold and distributed, and can't throw these things away.
Well, at least for me, once a day there's one.
I know, and we discussed it because you think it's the greatest thing in the world, and I'm talking about how terrible they were because they can't be recycled. Finally, 2 years later, I get our trade publication, which is Waste and Recycling News. Headlines on Waste and Recycling News: coffee makers wrestle with recyclability of single-serve pods. And the article goes on to say that it's the biggest challenge of this single-serve industry, that they're not recyclable. And in the bottom line, the statement they make is it worth it? That's the bottom line. Is 2 seconds of convenience making your coffee worth the damage that you're doing to the environment? That's my final word.
Now you're going to make me sign off with a guilty feeling.
I am.
You've been listening to Talkin' Trash with Alan Keefe on the Talk Block.